title was different. I don't know. I'm not that bad with technology, but for some reason, this is really, I'm struggling.
It looks like it's a different link. We are live on a different link.
Really, it looks like we're live in the right place. No?
I'm not sure. Well, I can see that we're live, 2 people watching, but that's it.
I can see that too.
Because the link that I'm on, someone has already asked a question, which there are 6 people waiting there.
Oh, really? So we're not in the right place.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know why I'm really struggling with it. I've put in all of the information from the live events.
Yeah.
All of it's 7 viewers waiting, right?
Yeah. Well, I see 6 viewers waiting. So.
And I can see a comment from Mars.
Yes. And we are not there. We are not live on there.
It's saying on my, maybe that's why. It's saying that we are live on there inside. Oh, maybe because
can I
streaming from the first one? So I've just stopped streaming from the other link. What? How about now?
No, still haven't had it yet.
Yeah, I can see the link, and I have absolutely no idea. So, shall we just send in the chat the link to where we are?
Yes.
Like last time. I don't know. I'm really struggling with this. I have no idea why it's not streamed to this one. I can share my screen with you, Gian, if you want to kind of have a look.
Yeah, we'll probably move the stream first, and then what do you think? Then see if people might be joining anytime soon, then we can do that later.
Yeah.
Hopefully it would work. I've already sent a message. I'm not sure if you've seen it on the previous link.
I haven't seen it. I can't even see that. That comes up.
It disappeared.
Yeah, I can't see your message.
Can you send a message on the link on that place where Mars asked the question?
Yeah. I can let him know this is where we are.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've just shared the link. Can you see that comment?
Yes, I can.
Okay, perfect. So that's a start.
That's a good start.
Yeah. So all I did was create a hi Zishan, welcome to this slightly delayed live session. Yeah. So Jenna, I was just saying, I set it up in the same way as the first one, so I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Maybe we should do some dummy ones.
Yeah.
Beforehand.
Let's try a dummy one when after this stream. But at least looks like everyone has joined this new stream.
Brilliant. Hi, Binu and Naveen. Yes. It's good. At least people have moved over, which is good. Not really sure yeah, what's happened there. But that's fine. So do you want to do the same as kind of last time and just sort of read out the kind of questions as they come through?
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. So what we'll do is, first of all, thank you everyone for joining. And I could see that some of you saying hello. So at least we know that you could hear us, you could see us. Maybe you could just type on the chat box, just let us know where you're from, what are you currently studying, or you might planning to come to the UK. So tell us, a little bit about yourself so that we know who you are. Hello, Naveen. We see Naveen. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
Naveen just joined us on our coaching program, so it's good to see you here.
Yes, definitely. So for some of you who may not know who we are, we can do a very quick introduction. So yes, Miles, the session will be recorded, so don't worry about kind of staying with us, and we'll answer your question that you have. But yeah, quick intro. I'm Annika, the founder of Grad Careers Coach, and Grad Careers Coach is a company that helps international students to secure Tier 2 graduate jobs in the UK. So we tend to work with international students who are on a Tier 4 visa. So they're currently studying in the UK and would like to switch from the Tier 4 to the Tier 2 work visa. I think next year it's not going to be called Tier 2, is it? It's going to be called skilled work, but essentially that's our process. And we named the original YouTube live session with the industries that we cover, just to make it super clear that that's what we specialize in. But as a reminder, the industries that we help international students to secure jobs in are professional services, investment banking, engineering, and technology. So I remember last week, Jan, we had a few kind of healthcare graduates or experienced professionals, which is great, and obviously an industry that's important and growing. But at present, it's not an industry that we kind of cover right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's us in a nutshell. Gian, our student careers consultant, would you like to give a quick intro?
Yeah, just a quick intro. I am the student career consultant at Grad Careers Coach. If some of you might have spoken to you before, if you're looking to join one of our programs, very likely that you would have a conversation with me, because I help students like yourself to identify kind of what sort of help you need and help you to choose the right program for you, so that you will be able to get the help that you need in order to secure the Tier 2 graduate job. I was like you. I was once an international student here in the UK. So I know what you're going through. I know the challenges that you are facing. So I'm very passionate about helping you. Hopefully you will be able to find the right job and build the career that you want here in the UK.
I'm just
so
adding the link to
the chat.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So thank you. So we have a few people have you have left the question. You have any question, that please do also type in on the live chat, so that we know, so we can see the question. We'll try to answer every questions that you have, so that we're trying to cover as much as we can in this 1 hour live stream. We might not be able to cover everything, but we usually could. So try any question that you have, please send in your question, so that we will be able to see that. Or any comments that you want to make, please feel free to type in as well, so that we'll be able to.
Yeah, I think so. I think recently we've said, haven't we, that we also just want to hear about your experiences, because this is a pretty unique time to be an international student. And we want to know, have you kind of started your studies? Are you coming towards the end? What's your studies looking like? And are you settling in well? What are you kind of just struggling with at the moment? For us, it would just be great to learn about your individual experiences. It doesn't have to be a question that you post. You can just kind of comment, and I'm sure whatever you write, there'll be somebody else who can relate to that. and share the same views as you. Have a bit of sunshine coming in, so I'm a little bit blinded. But,
don't get sunshine that often in London.
It's true. Make the most of it.
Yeah. Okay, so we have the first one. MR. I don't know how to read that. Is that
Vinay, maybe?
Vinay, yeah, Vinay, MRL9, Vinay. Hi, I have more than 5 years of experience and currently I'm pursuing MBA in Glasgow. Would you guys be helping me in finding tier 2 jobs? So, Anika, what do you think? 5 years work experience in an MBA?
Yeah, it's a difficult one. I'd say great that you're kind of doing an MBA, super interesting and definitely marketable. Like those skills are what is required and what UK employers would be interested in and looking for. So I think that's absolutely brilliant. That commercial awareness that you have can be applied to just so many different sectors and roles. We tend to work with students or recent graduates who have limited experience, and it's not that your 5 years of experience it's good, it's fantastic to have that much, and you obviously know so much more compared to fresh students. But because we help students kind of apply to graduate level jobs or graduate programs, these jobs tend to require you to have not extensive experience, to be honest. Employers want to hire students with kind of limited experience, so that they can then train them to do the role. So we absolutely can help. I mean, obviously, tell us a little bit more about the kind of roles that you're looking for, and on this live session, give you some advice about applying to those industries 100%. But you may want to apply for an experienced higher role because you have 5 years. And that's not something we specialize in. We very, very much help with graduate roles and entry-level roles. But if you have questions around that specifically, any tips that we can give to you, then we absolutely can help you on this session. If you're on our mailing list, I'm not sure if you are, we also do things like webinars as well every month. So those would be really good to kind of come along and find out a little bit more about the steps it takes to securing a job in the UK.
Yeah, I think it's really, we can only answer the question based on this much details that we have. You said 5 year experience. We don't know what sort of experience do you have. Kind of, are you changing career, or those sorts of things. Everyone has a different journey. Every student is very unique. Just based on what we know. Just like Anika said, great, you have 5 year experience. We assume that you have relevant, experience, and we assume that you have an MBA and you want to work. I don't know which area you want to work in. Again, that is not the information that we have here. So so it depends on the area you want to work with. Yeah, so come along to our webinar, come along to join our mailing list, get all this information that you need, and then you will be able to understand a little bit more what actually do you need to do in order to prepare yourself to get a tier 2 job.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. And yeah, great. So we have the next one. We have Zishan. I'm working in accountancy firm. They're going to sponsor me, but I want to switch my job. I'm working in an accountancy firm as an assistant accountant. So I assume that you're in the UK. You've got a job at the moment. I'm not sure whether it is. I don't know what is your current status. Is it a tier 4? Part-time role, or you are switching from tier 4 to tier 2, or you are already on tier 2, you just want to change job? I'm not sure about that. So if you could give us a little bit more information, that would be helpful. Otherwise, very difficult, isn't it?
I think so. I mean, great that they're going to sponsor you. So obviously they like you, they see potential, they want to have you on a more permanent basis, and they're willing to sponsor you. And you're in a really lucky position. There's so many students, on here and that we speak to that would kind of love to be in that position. So that's really good. If you want to switch your current role, you're not enjoying it, or there is another role that you would prefer to do. Generally, I would say it's about having a really open and honest conversation with either the HR team or your direct manager, your direct line manager, and just talk to them about your preferred role within the organization, but have a plan. So if you do want to switch, what do you want to switch to? Make it as easy as possible for them to enable that switch, and kind of just think about it all from their points of view. You know, if they want to sponsor you as in your current role because they really need to fill that, then it might be difficult for them to sponsor you if you want to take up a new role. Okay, so only by kind of asking those questions and having a really kind of honest conversation with them are you going to know if that's possible or not.
Yeah, so I think the great thing is, I think the key thing, because I see that Zishan, you have added some information saying that you are in London full-time placement. Your visa will be expiring on February 2021. I think the key thing is that you are going to, because we don't know what is the reason why you want to switch to another company. Maybe you're really not happy there, or maybe, you know, there are some other reasons. You know, so yeah, so I just don't know. So I don't know what is the reason why. And also, given that another thing that is kind of key is that you have limited time to switch, and finding a sponsor can take a company that sponsors you can take time. So I would suggest that you take all these factors into consideration. You know, kind of have a plan. Like Anika said, what you want. You know, I know that you said you want the growth, but you know, what is it, that how is it, can you do it, you know, have a plan and think about what you want to do. I think that is really important. Where do you want to switch to, you know, because ultimately, if you haven't got another company that's sponsoring by February, it is better that you hang on to what you have now than not having another option. It's really important that you have another option first.
Yeah, it is, exactly. So if you really do want to switch, then have a look, do some research, see which other large accountancy firms are hiring right now. I mean, your window is short, and a lot of large accountancy firms, like the Big Four, for example, they do recruit a lot earlier. So you may look and find that you're a bit too late for some of these roles. But if there are still some available, nothing is stopping you from applying to those roles. You absolutely can apply and then have the conversation about switching when you get further down the process. But don't sort of take a risk too early, because you don't want to be in a situation where you've decided to kind of leave your current role and you're starting from scratch. You know, that's very, very risky, because if you don't have a tier 2 sponsored role before February, you will have no choice but to kind of return home. So it depends on the risk you want to take, but also know that no role is forever. You know, once you've got your tier 2 sponsorship, you can switch, you can look for other roles and other opportunities, but always look at what that looks like to your future employer as well. You know, are you somebody that is going to not stay with the new firm for a long time as well? So just always taking these extra considerations into account. But good luck. I hope that's helpful.
Yeah, I hope that's helpful. Good luck, Zishan. Yeah, so we have the next one, Learn with Prabha. I'm currently doing my MSc Business with International Management, and I'm actively looking for tier 2 job opportunities. Great and excellent. So if you're currently doing your MSc, I assume that you've just started. So in the new academic year, if you are, welcome. If you are new to the UK, welcome to the UK. And yeah, I hope that this is definitely the right time for you. If you are, just arrived and then started your MSc, doing it, then this is definitely the right time for you to to start looking for a tier 2 opportunity now, because there are a lot of jobs are opening now. So this is the prime time to apply.
Yeah, and she's followed up with a kind of very open question. What about the post-study work visa? And that's such an open question, so I'm not sure what the specific information you'd like, but as a very brief overview, the post-study work is actually going to be called the graduate route visa, and it's going to come into effect from next summer. So if you're graduating in summer 2021, you will be eligible to apply for this new 2-year graduate route visa. And if you graduate before summer 2021, you won't be eligible. I don't know, Jan, if there's been a specific date that's been set out, because sometimes I look at certain articles and I see June, but then I've also seen on the government website that it's July 2021.
I don't think I have seen the latest yet. I'm not sure. We're supposed to have something hopefully right about this month, but we haven't seen the latest date yet. When is it that you would be, there's an exact date of PSW, because they always say the summer.
Yeah.
But summer is really vague.
It is. I mean, if we're being very technical, the summer months are June, July, August.
August, yes,
so
exactly.
That at least should give you a starting point. If you're graduating June, July, August, or after, you will be eligible. If it's before that, you will not be eligible.
Yeah.
So hopefully that will at least inform your kind of next steps. And maybe just let us know when you graduate. That would be really helpful. But yeah, it is exciting. It is a really great new initiative, and I think it's part of the strategy of the UK wanting to appear more open, wanting to appear more welcoming to international students, by giving them this 2-year extension. Obviously, post-study work visa was a visa that was introduced, some years ago, and then it got removed, and that was really controversial. But it's great that it's coming back. I think it can only be a positive thing. So yeah, we're very kind of excited about the PSW. But again, we go into this in another kind of YouTube video, just to make sure that you're using the time really wisely. We won't go into it too much, because I think we covered it in the last session as well.
Yes, that's right.
Great.
Yes.
So we have just a few comments, which is brilliant. So keep them coming. Where you're studying. So we've got Naveen, Education Officer at University of East London Students' Union. Looking forward to this brilliant opportunity. Great, so are we. And just another kind of comment from Zishan. A question from Binu. What are the prospects for a student who is doing a master's in electrical power engineering in the UK?
Yeah.
Shall I take it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So job prospects. I mean, in engineering, it's such a huge field with loads of different specialisms. So I can't kind of give you a breakdown of the job prospects in this particular specialism. We have coaches on our team, and they have lots of different industry knowledge. They probably can give you more of an overview on this. But what I'd say is, you are probably researching this sector right now. The best way to find out the number of opportunities is to simply visit graduate jobs websites and have a look at roles relating to this field. It is quite specialist, I'll be honest, so you probably are not going to find a huge number, but it doesn't mean that you won't be able to get a job offer in this area as well, because if you've got experience and you've got the right background and all the skills that the company is looking for, then they absolutely will hire you. What I would say to all engineering students is to look at your specialism, yes, and apply to roles related to that, absolutely, but also maybe take a step back and look at the other kind of roles you can apply to in the wider engineering space. and even things like project management. That will just open up your job search much wider, and you'll have more roles to apply for. So that's kind of what I would say. But engineering, you know, it's always been very sought after. Yeah, it's a skill that we sometimes lack in the UK. So it's definitely something that, you know, UK employers are looking for STEM students, are hiring. So the job prospects are good, but again, it depends exactly which area we're looking at. It depends on your background as well. Yeah, but if you can give us kind of a little bit more information, maybe some examples of where you've been applying, etc., other areas you might consider, that would be really helpful as well. I think a lot of international students believe that they should only apply to jobs related to their specific degree, but it's just not the case. I think in the UK you can apply to roles that are much wider, much broader. So just bear that in mind when you're searching and applying for jobs.
Yeah, definitely, because you want to keep your option open, like, so that you give yourself a little bit more option, but at the same time you also need to have the strategy. Having the right job strategy will help you, because you know, the danger is when you open up, then you will take everything into consideration, then it will kind of paralyze you, because you're, I don't know which one I'm going to apply to. So it's really important that we always talk about keep your option open, but at the same time have a strategy on how do you want to move forward with this. What type of job that you want to prioritize first? What are the jobs that you're most likely to be able to secure compared to others? But you know, you are in a very good place, you know, if you are researching now. So this is a good time for you to do it. Cool. Next one, Zishan, we have already talked about that. And then Naveen, thank you for sharing your experience. Naveen said that he has applied to graduate schemes for 2 years now, and last year was much better in terms of progression. Felt like I need a bit of helping hand from the actual experts now. And here's for that. So great, you're very proactive. You've been trying, so I think it was really good that you've been trying and applying for the last 2 years. I'm sure that you have learned a lot throughout the time. That every time when you get rejection, and it shows, because you said that you last year was much better in terms of the progression. You know, you probably go to the later stage of the application compared to when you're first trying. So this is all about experience and learning, and this is no difference to all the graduates that when you're applying for a graduate scheme or graduate job. So and also this is the reason why having an expert, the guidance from professional guidance is important, because that could save you from making all these mistakes, and then you can actually progress quicker. So yeah, we are very looking forward to working with Naveen, because Naveen just joined us in one of our programs. So we're looking forward to, very confident that with all the experience that you gain, you know, with the guidance from our graduate recruiters, you will be able to have really, really good results very soon.
Exactly. And it's true, don't think of the last 2 years as been wasted time, because you have learned so much. You know, it is a learning process, and you will take all of that and apply this cycle, and you'll have a totally different experience. Plus, you're going to have the help of our coaches, our team. They will be able to give you really practical tips and advice. So yeah, brilliant.
Yeah.
Have you on board.
Yeah, and also just one thing that I want to point to all of you here too is to look at our videos that Vedant talked about the videos, talk about his experience. He secured a job this year, early this year, just before all the COVID, everything happened. But he did say that it's all about, doing it over and over again, practicing. And then by the time you got to like 10 jobs or something, then you already know exactly what to do, and and the process becomes easier, because you already know what you need to write, you already need to know what you need to prepare, you already know how to research for the company, because of all this experience that you gain. If you've done all this trial and error before, when it comes to later stage, it's become really easy. And like Vedant, I remember he shared that he only got invited to one assessment center.
Yeah.
He got that job. So you don't really need to go to so many of them, because when you have the professional guidance, you only need that thing, that one opportunity, and then you secure the opportunity. It's not about the quality, the quantity of the application that you send. It's about the quality of each of them. And we have another student that we work with that also successfully secured a job. Rinoshi also said that he applied to 15 jobs only, compared to so many students that some of you might have tried hundreds of jobs. So, working with us, he only applied to 15 jobs, and he already secured a job in an engineering company. So that is really key. It's about the quality of your application. It's about your preparation. It's not about the quantity of the application you send.
Yeah. And a lot of the work you'll need to do before you even do your application, a lot of the work that Vedant did was before he went to his assessment center. So he'd done all of the preparation and he was just ready. And I think he described it as, I got to a point where I just understood how to show the best version of myself on the day that it mattered most. And that's so, so true. So you learn by doing, yes, but so much of it is how prepared are you before you get to the interview? How prepared are you before you get to the assessment center? Employers can tell as well if you're prepared. They really, really can. But yeah, that's really good, and kind of thanks for sharing. Let's move on to Mars, who's asked, if I don't get a grad job in a company that sponsors the Tier 2 work visa, is it possible to work elsewhere on a PSW visa and reapply to Tier 2 sponsoring companies during this time? Or is the current recruitment cycle my last chance to apply to a Tier 2 sponsoring company? Thanks. You absolutely can apply for a Tier 2 company whilst you're working elsewhere on the post-study work visa, or the graduate route visa, as it's going to be called. You can. So the great thing about the PSW is it will give you that flexibility, it will give you that time, so you can work anywhere you like, and you don't need to have the sponsorship. You're gaining experience, you're networking, you're building your knowledge. So yes, you absolutely can. And then during that time, I would 100% say to you, you need to be looking for Tier 2 opportunities. The only thing that I would say about the recruitment cycle is just be careful about leaving it too late. So for example, if you apply for a graduate scheme or a graduate program, which are kind of these structured 2 or 3 year training programs, then they have a very set recruitment cycle. And often these employers want to hire fresh graduates. So if you've been working at a company during your PSW for 2 years and then you want to apply for a Tier 2 job, the employer may not consider your application because they don't consider you as a fresh graduate. Okay, so just balance that out. You don't want to be seen as not being a fresh graduate. And that, I would say, mostly only applies for graduate programs and graduate schemes. Okay, so not every single graduate job.
Yeah. And I think one of the key, Mars, I think the key question for you is, what is your long-term vision or long-term plan? What are you thinking? Is that because of you want to stay in the UK in the long term? If that is your plan, there's another thing that you need to consider as well, is that so far that what we know, because we haven't got the final announcement from the immigration, the Home Office, so we do not know exactly what it is yet. But the graduate route, which is you call the post-study, the PSW visa, is a temporary visa that is not renewable, and it's not. They expect you to switch to another visa as soon as you can. And this visa doesn't count towards your settlement, which means that if you are looking to stay in the UK for long term, after 5 years on tier 2 or skill work, you will be able to apply for indefinite leave to remain. And if you're on the PSW, then it doesn't count. So it counts from the day when you start on your tier 2 or your skill work visa. So that is another thing that would delay you getting into settlement. So that is also another thing that you potentially might want to consider as well. How I would like to see this as well with the post-study or the graduate visa and also the skill work visa is that if your plan is to stay in the UK for the long term, take the post-study visa or the graduate route visa as a backup or an insurance policy. Don't take it as a first option, because if you need to start applying for tier 2 job first or to skill work first, get a sponsorship first. If you don't get it, then at least you still have your post-study visa. You still have your graduate route that you have another year to apply for it. If you don't, then you're going to if you prioritize that, then if you don't prioritize your tier 2 or your skill work, what would happen is that after some time, like Anika said, you might miss out on the cycle, you might not be seen as a fresh graduate, or you might be working with a company that is going to tell you that I'm going to sponsor you at the end of 2 years. And at the end of 2 years, they might say, no, I'm not going to sponsor you. So these are kind of all the things that you need to take into consideration to protect yourself and to also to plan for what kind of the longer term goal or longer term outcome that you would like to achieve. You need to take all that into consideration.
Yeah, definitely. So moving on, we've got some comments, which is great. Hi, Dipu. So she, or he, sorry, I'm a finance student graduating in 2021 summer. I'm currently on a tier 4 visa. With the introduction of the new post-study work visa, will I still need sponsorship when applying for grad schemes? Great question, actually. Thank you. If you are graduating in summer 2021, then you will be eligible for the PSW, for the graduate route visa. But yes, you will still need tier 2 visa sponsorship when applying for graduate schemes. Yes, yes, that's right. You will need to have that.
Yeah.
I mean, you could, that's a good point, actually. I mean, you could work for the 2 years without having the visa. But I think that's unusual. And I'll tell you why, because employers, especially for grad schemes, they invest a lot in you. So it's basically a 2 or 3 year training scheme. So for them to invest all of that time in you, they want you to be with them on a permanent basis. After your graduate scheme, they would prefer that you join the company, in a more permanent role. So I actually think that you would need sponsorship. They would want you to work there on a permanent basis.
Yeah. I also think that depends on the length of the graduate schemes that you're applying to. If it's the 3 years, definitely. So
yeah, exactly. So it's only 2. Yeah, so you only have to post-study work visa for 2 years, and then the company is going to need to offer you the sponsorship anyway. But it's a good question, and that's something I guess we can ask our coaches, because we have our coaches are graduate recruiters at kind of large global firms. So this could be a question for them, actually. And to be totally honest with you, I think a lot of companies still don't know what the rules are and what they're able to do and not able to do. So even the advice that we're giving is a prediction. It's definitely not fact. I think only until we get to summer 2021 are we going to know what the reality is. Maybe some companies would be okay to have you on for 2 years on a grad scheme without tier 2. But I'm not sure. And historically speaking, because we do speak to companies, we speak to kind of in-house graduate recruiters, and they aren't always the most informed as well. So there can be a bit of a delay between new rules coming out and the companies adapting to those rules and really understanding what those rules mean. So yeah, sorry, can't kind of be more specific, but I can only say what I think will happen, and my prediction for grad schemes is that UK employers will want to issue sponsorship because it's more permanent.
Yeah, and also I think this is also very much depending on the length of the grad scheme, the companies. Like Kanika said, a lot of companies might not be so up to date to the new rules coming in. There's going to be a delay. So from a student perspective, I would say that get ready. It's a really good question that you asked. This is a very good question that you ask. So get ready. Don't put too much emphasis on one or another. Making sure that get ready that it could be depends on the job that you're applying to.
Thanks.
Yeah, great. So we have next question, Harsha. Are British employers socially biased in their hiring process for international students? This is a big question, isn't it? It's a big question to answer.
It's a good one. It's a good question.
Yeah.
I can totally understand why you're asking.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm about to say. So I can totally understand why you feel that way. I was an international student before, so I know why you feel that way, because you probably be getting a lot of rejection, a lot of things. You've probably been hearing everyone is telling you that it's impossible to get a job, etc., etc., and then you're probably thinking that socially it could be a bias, that there's the reason why there's a reason why they don't hire foreign students. I would say that I'm not sure what you mean by socially biased. I would say that one of the main reasons why employers do not find it difficult to sponsor international students, so it could come across as bias, is because the process, if in comparison, so a lot of employers probably they do not have the knowledge about sponsorship. We talk about this. There's going to be a video going out where the immigration officer Gina that we work with is going to talk about this. Why is it so difficult for employers to sponsor? And one of the reasons is because of it is very most employers do not know the rules, do not know whether what kind of process that's required in order to sponsor. So naturally, they always look for the easier option because it's easier. They thought that sponsorship is so difficult, it's so complicated, but it's actually not. But some of them, they think that way. So that is the reason why they do not prioritize international students, and then they give the priority to other students that do not require sponsorship. So that is what happened before. That has all these years because of the rules, the visa. So if you say bias based on kind of immigration status, sometimes I would say yes, as in because of the process, the migration process, how it is. So that is kind of the main.
It could be the cost as well for some
companies.
companies.
The cost. Some companies, smaller company could be a cost.
Legally, they're not supposed to. Legally, there should be no bias, no discrimination at all. And this is why some companies don't say it on their job description. They don't actually say we do not sponsor because they're a little bit worried about being seen as discriminating. And that's where it's really complicated, because I think as an international student, you would want to just know either way so that you're not wasting your time. And this kind of grey area is where I think it makes it hard for students to know where to apply. But also because we see the other side, we see so many students successfully secure job offers at UK companies, that we also see the other side, where UK employers see international students as a massive advantage and as really important hires. Especially if their company is global and international in its nature anyway, and so many are, especially in the UK. So yes, it's always going to be some who are a little kind of worried about the process, or think it's too costly and don't want to sponsor. Yes, equally there's going to be so many who are fine about the visa process. They do want to sponsor, and they see all of the benefits that international students bring. So yeah, it's not a kind of straightforward question. I think it's a kind of a yes and a no answer there, but I think we should move on because we've got quite a few questions.
Yeah, exactly. Let's just why I just noticed there's so many questions, we can only pick and choose that kind of.
Yeah. So
I think the key thing is about this question is you can actually highlight your strength as an international student and make it an advantage. Don't see it as a disadvantage for you. You can turn it around and make it an advantage for you in order to secure a job. And you have the advantage as an international. Don't forget that that's what a lot of other local students do not have. So you have the advantage that you need to turn it around. So that is really.
So Tolu has asked, what is the best strategy to get a sponsored job after studies? Which course would we recommend, please, and why? I'm more inclined to business and marketing roles. So I'm going to do this very quickly because, again, I'm conscious of replying to everybody's question. But we don't want to advise you on your the course to study, because I think it's such a personal question, and you've got to really be interested in that subject in order to kind of be committed to studying it for a year or 3 years often. But what I would say is, you could talk about business and marketing roles. I think it's more challenging to find a tier 2 sponsored role in marketing. There are fewer available, and there are so many marketing students. But that's not to say if you were to study something related to marketing, you would gain so many skills that you could transfer to a tier 2 sponsored role. And I've said this so many times, but UK employers don't just look at the degree that you're studying. They look at your work experience, they look at your extracurricular activities, they look at your character, and that's how they recruit. So you may be studying marketing, but decide to apply for an unrelated field, and that's okay. So many roles don't specify a specific degree. So whatever you choose, I wouldn't worry. I think you're still going to be able to apply to lots of different kinds of sponsored roles at the end.
Yeah. And because there are so many questions here, I don't think that we might not be able to answer every one of them. So what I would do is I'm going to skip to a few that I think would be potentially be very, very beneficial to other people, so that we can just choose them. What do you think, Anika? Is that?
I think so. I think we're going to have to, which I'm really sorry. And we are planning to do these live Q&As every week as well. So if we don't answer your question here, hopefully we can in another session. And we're also publishing kind of regular videos which may answer your questions. So just as long as you're subscribed to this channel, hopefully you'll be able to see those. I would like to probably answer Naveen's question, obviously, because he's just joined our coaching program. So Naveen has said, I've taken a break from applying to jobs now. Would you recommend me to wait until the first appointment with the coach, but at the same time concerns around deadlines still exist? Yeah, there are deadlines that are approaching fast. If you want to get into a graduate program, if you want to get into a graduate scheme, you have to realize that UK employers hire early and they hire quickly as well. And once the roles have been filled, then they usually don't reopen. So I guess if you want to have a bit more balance, maybe your approach for this time period could be being really selective with the kind of roles you want to apply for, and maybe only apply for a handful of companies every week, maybe 4 or 5, but make sure that you're really spending time in those applications. But I would recommend speaking to your coach first. Even at the very minimum, they're going to go through your CV, they're going to give you pointers, and those are so valuable. You will be set up with your coach this week and hopefully have your first session this week. So you're not going to be waiting a really long time. what I would say is just try and prepare as much as you can before your first coaching session. So send everything you can to your coach, any applications you're working on, anything at all, just make sure that that's been sent to them first. But maybe now is not the time to take a break as well.
Yeah.
Sorry. Right, Jan, do you want to choose the next question?
The next question, let me have a look. I'll probably look at Ashwin's questions. I'll be starting masters in mechanical engineering and management at University of Leicester in January 2021. Is there demerits in choosing January intake because many jobs opening are in September? This is a very good question, actually. Whether choosing a January intake is a disadvantage to you. I would say maybe there's a slight disadvantage. Is that true, Anika? It's a slight disadvantage because most of the jobs are opening in September.
Yeah, there are some roles that start in January, some roles that start in spring. And hi, Ashwin, and I'm speaking to you tomorrow afternoon, so I can talk about this in more detail and kind of answer more of your questions. But I think the majority of graduate programs do start in September. But because you're starting your master's in January 2021, you're going to be eligible for the 2-year graduate route, so the extension. So what that will mean simply is that you might have a little bit of a break between when you finish your master's and when you start your job. And that's absolutely fine, because as long as you apply for the graduate route visa, it's fine if you may have, 4 or 5 months in between before you start your role. So for you, there isn't a disadvantage. You can apply for roles starting in September, but you may just have a bit of a break and may have to think about what you're going to do in between the time where you finish your master's and you're starting your role.
Yeah. The thing is, you can start applying. You can start applying in September for the September intake next year. So you only have the few months that you need to figure out what you want to do. So it's not like before the rules change. It's really a huge disadvantage. If your visa expires that time, you kind of do not have the opportunity for the next cycle. But for your case, it's probably not so much of a disadvantage, really.
Yeah. And then, is it good to choose industrial placement year along with a master's? I mean, industrial placement years are fantastic. They really are really good. I think it depends on the work experience you already have. If you have good work experience, good, relevant, recent work experience, your industrial placement year might not add a huge amount. But I always think it's a big advantage, even just for you to find out what the company is offering, what kind of roles are there. You'll get more industry knowledge. You'll realize what you like and what you don't like. You'll get exposed to kind of working in the UK. So there's a huge number of benefits. It's just up to you. It will delay your start date for your role. So I guess it's just, what do you want? And you have to kind of go from there. And then finally, does studying at a Russell Group university really matter to employers in the UK? Honestly, I think it does. I think they do actively look, and especially pre-COVID-19, some employers would only visit the campuses of Russell Group universities. And I think that employers generally are moving away from that. They're trying to have more diversity, and that means recruiting from lots of different universities, and they aren't as targeted anymore, especially because of COVID-19. A lot of careers events are online. They're reaching out to so many more graduates than they did before, and they're not targeting specific universities. Generally as well, we see UK employers, and kind of EY is one of them, that are not looking at your academics as much. So I think EY have dropped A-level requirements, and that's huge, So it's basically them saying, yes, your academics are important, but we're really interested in all these other things as well. How well-rounded are you? What other skills and qualities are you going to bring? Talk to us about your experiences. So that's a very brief answer. I'm trying to speed through this.
Yeah.
I hope it's not too brief.
Can I add something to that? Yeah. I think there's a really good question, and I think a lot of students missed out. And one of the trends is that what we see in the UK employers is a lot of them are really, like Anika said, moving away from looking at which university you're from, because they really want the diversity. Some of them even when you submit your CV, they even blank the universities when they look at, so that they don't have the bias. So they probably look at a qualification, what you study, but they probably wouldn't know which university you come from, because they want to prevent, just like when people submit, some companies do, is like there's no names, no pictures. I know from certain countries that are from, like where I'm from in Malaysia, we still submit CV with pictures. You put your gender, your birth dates, all that thing. But in the UK, it's more and more including diversity. They're doing more work on a diversity. And one thing, because of that, which means that you can't rely on just your qualification, which means that your personal branding is so important. So if you're interested to find out more about personal branding, we do a lot of work about help students to create your personal brand, because that is when you are able to impress your employers. As how can you stand out among thousands or tens of thousands sometimes of applications that you send in? So in one of our tier 2, one of the master classes in our tier 2 Launchpad, is that we have this personal branding. We have all these different different kind of master classes that you could learn. How can you help yourself to stand out among all the applications? Because you are no longer defined by which university you go to. You need to highlight what are the skills and what are the things that you have to offer.
Yeah, totally. I couldn't agree more with that. Students often think that my personal brand or who I am is what university I'm studying at and what degree I'm studying, and that's just the starting point. So if back to UK employers want to know a lot more, they're really interested in what you're doing outside of your studies, and that may surprise you. You may think that being part of a sports team or being an active member of a chess society isn't going to be important, isn't going to be interesting, but actually they are important. And you'll find out when you start applying for jobs that they ask you these kind of questions in the application form or during the interviews, because they want to find out more about these kind of non-academic experiences that you have, because they really shape you and they really help you to stand out from the crowd. Because unfortunately now everyone has a degree, and so many students have a master's, and it's not enough to help you stand out. Okay, so you've really got to think kind of beyond that. Do we have time for a couple of more questions? I have a couple here. I thought
yeah, let's do it. Yeah.
So learn with Prabha. So it's Prabha. It's just Prabha. What is the top tip you give for international students to secure tier 2 jobs? Jan, do you want to start, or?
Yeah. So I think the top tips would be understanding your strengths and your weaknesses, and also have a job strategy. I think those are really, really key. Like, to me, those are kind of important, because if you know what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses, and also you have a strategy, which means that you will be able to focus on the right jobs that you want to apply to, and you also know what are the areas that you could improve on, what are the strengths that you can actually play to, so that you will be able to apply to the jobs that you're more likely to get sponsorship from. So to me, that are the kind of the key things. You need to have a strength, know your strength, weaknesses, have a job strategy. Another thing that I think this is probably the top tip is timing. Timing. Start early. You need to start early. There's really no time to waste. If you really want to have a break, rest, once you get the job offer, you can take a break. We have students that they got a job offer, say in February or March, and then they don't start until September. So you have all those time that you can take a break from. So this is the time that from now on until the February, March, this is the prime time for you to work really hard. I know it's difficult because you are studying, you have a lot of assignments that you want to do, and then all these things coming up. But this is the prime time. Don't miss out on this opportunity, because if you miss out, then it's another cycle. You got to wait for another cycle. If you have your post-study or graduate route visa, brilliant, you have another chance. If you don't, then that's pretty much it. You have to go home. So you really timing is so key. What happened with a lot of international students, with the challenge that we have here, is we want to help as many of you as possible when you come to us. But a lot of students that come to us that we can't help anymore is because they're coming to us too late.
Yeah.
So if you want our help, if you want our coaches to help you to get one-to-one session, to join our tier 2 Launchpad, to join our group coaching session, anything that you want to get help, get professional guidance, do it now. That is what I would like to say, because our experience is, sometimes it's really like, we really want to help you, but if you come to us in May next year, and then it is another recruitment cycle is gone, unless you still have your graduate visa. Otherwise, this is the time, because that is really frustrating sometimes, that we have all these coaches there available to help you. So timing is so key that start now. If you want to get help now. I understand sometimes you want to feel, as an international student, what you want to do is you probably think that I want to try it myself first before I get help. But the challenge is, once you try it and then you get rejection, you can only apply once within the next 6 months. And then again, it puts you behind again for all those companies that are more likely to sponsor. And then you're losing out again. And then you get more stressful, because next year is going to be harder for you to secure the job. So with all this taking into consideration, timing. Start early. If you want to get guidance, get it now. This is the time to do it.
Perfect. I honestly, you've stolen my good tips there. They're absolutely spot on. We do this year in, year out for nearly 5 years. And trust me, one thing that we cannot change, and I wish we could, we can't change the recruitment cycle in the UK. And even despite COVID-19, it's pretty similar. So a majority of UK employers start looking for students, start looking for graduates now. So actually as early as August this year. And once they fill their places, they will close. So if you look at graduate jobs websites, if you visit Prospects or Bright Network or Target Jobs, you'll find a huge number of jobs on there right now. You will not find the same number of jobs available, tier 2 jobs, I should say, if you start looking in April, for example. And then when you get to the summertime, May, June, it gets really quiet. And that is just how the graduate recruitment cycle is, okay? So you've got to respond to that, and you've got to get your application in on time. Don't wait until you finished your studies. Don't wait until you've graduated. You don't need to. You can get your job offer while you're on your course. And then you can just relax, focus on your studies, make sure you're doing well in your assignments, make sure you're doing well in your exams, knowing that you've got a job offer and you've got a contract signed, and you can just relax. So definitely start early. And I guess the last tip, that those are amazing tips, but just one quick one before we finish the session, is try and understand what UK employers are looking for. What employers look for here will be totally different from your home country. So you may have to learn a completely new process and a new way of thinking and a new way of applying, and that's okay. But just really try and understand what it is that they're really interested in. Because if you can give them what they want in your CV, if you can give them exactly what they're looking for in your application form, exactly what they want from you in an interview, then they will pass you along. They will successfully pass you from each stage until the job offer stage, because you've done exactly what they're asking for and exactly what they're looking for. And I always kind of give the example of how you would prepare for an exam. You know, if you have an exam next week, you're not going to learn every single thing on that subject. You're going to learn the things that are going to come up in that exam, and you're going to learn the best ways to pass that exam. And it's exactly the same with job applications, just learning the process, learning the tips, learning what you need to cover in your answers, what's a good example for a competency question, or etc., etc. So once you learn the exact process, the step-by-step process, you'll get there. That's it. That's all you need to do.
Yeah, essentially you are actually learning a complete set of new skills. Is that it has really nothing directly, like I would say, not complete nothing, but not much to do with the actual job that you're going to do. You know, it's not the skills that you need. It's a completely different skill set that you need to get the job, and a different skill set that you need to do the job itself. So you need to learn that is what you need to do, to the skill set to get the job, because you need that first before you can demonstrate that you can actually do the job.
Exactly. And yeah, that can feel quite overwhelming, and it can feel that it's going to take a lot of time away from your studies. But if you understand what's required, then actually you're working in a much more efficient way, rather than spending hours and hours by yourself on an application to a company, not really knowing if it's the right thing, not really knowing if this application is going to be successful, if what you've written is going to be right, or if what you're in your CV is going to be what they're looking for. Doing it on your own, it can take a long time. So getting advice, coming to YouTube sessions, asking us the right questions, getting our help will get you where you want to be much faster, because we've spoken to students in, I guess, all different stages of the process, and your struggles, there are common themes, and we know what to do, and we know how to get you from here to the job offer stage. So if in doubt, obviously just get in touch with us. I've actually shared in the chat a link to our free online assessment called "What Are Your Chances of Securing a Job in the UK?" So please do fill that out. It will help you.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right, Jan, I think we should wrap up.
Exactly.
It was a good session. And again, apologies for everyone who was on the correct link before. Still figuring out how to do these YouTube lives. I think that's something Jan and I need to kind of test, don't we? Yeah. And just try and get it right. But I just, I'm not sure why the original link wasn't working. But thank you for switching over to this link and coming along to the session. I already think that is going to help you, and the more information, the more knowledge you have, the better your chances of success.
Yes. So follow us, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, so that you get notification when there is another live stream, which is going to be next week. We're trying to do this every week to talk to you guys. So and also, if you know anyone, your friends, international students, that who you think that might be helpful, you might be this session might be helpful for them. Share this with them, share this channel with them, and then tell them about us, because we want to really help as many international students as possible. Our coaches are there. Amazing coaches, graduate recruiters are there, ready to help you. So subscribe to the channel, send us questions, and then we would like to hear from you, and we'd like to be able to help you as much as we can.
And then kind of a final word about our online careers platform. So Tier 2 Launchpad is a new online careers platform that we've set up, designed only for international students and only to help you to get a Tier 2 job in the UK. So it's quite specific. We focus on kind of the industries that I mentioned earlier on when we started. So if you are looking for help, looking for information, looking for advice, masterclasses, resources, guides, access to Q&A sessions with graduate recruiters, employers, then I'd recommend checking out Tier 2 Launchpad. So I added the link to the chat as well, but any kind of questions that you have about the platform, then please ask, because that's actually super helpful for us to know if you have any questions.
Yeah, you can also leave a comment because this video will be recorded, will be streamed and recorded on YouTube on our channel. You can ask us any question, leave us any questions, any specific topic that you want to see us answering. You can also type in there so that we get an idea, understand what your challenges are, so that we can help you as much as we can.
Perfect. Okay.
Okay.
Thanks everyone for joining us.
Thank you for joining us. See you next week.
You next week, hopefully on the right link.
Yeah.
Okay. Good luck.